Hi, hello, and welcome to another episode of The Dunker Spot. We are part of the Yahoo Sports Network. I am your host, Nekias Duncan, and joining me as always is my co-host, the always excellent Steve Jones Jr. Steve, happy Friday. How are you?
Feeling good, feeling great. Ready to talk about some basketball.
There we go. Okay. We are short, sweet, and to the point. And Steve, All-Star voting opened up on Wednesday, which always intrigues me. It's a nice snapshot of who's playing well, who's playing great, who's on the bubble, and all those things. So with All-Star voting opening up on Wednesday, I would imagine the first All-Star returns are probably a couple of weeks away, so we get to see what the fans are thinking. And we do have a format shift this year. It's all positionless this season because we are going to get Team USA versus Team World. We're going to have 3 teams of 8 players apiece. And the split, ideally, is going to be 16 US-based players and 8 international players. And if via the voting from the fans, et cetera, and then the reserve picks, if we do not get that 16 and 8 split, Adam Silver will then add wherever it's needed. If it's only 7 international players, Adam Silver will add an 8th. If there are only 14 US-based players that make it in initially, he'll add 2 more. That's how it's going to go. And so for today's episode, to kick things off, we're going to do a quick check-in to see where we are with our collective All-Star teams. I always have a spiel, and so I will go second.
Now, hold on. Before you get to whatever you're about to say, let's talk about the All-Star game. Everyone wants to make a shift, a change. Let's get the vibes right. So I'm intrigued to see how this format works. Number one, I am intrigued that it's just 4 split-up games, 12 minutes. So hopefully, which should be a solve to what I believe the true issue is, which is just one team goes crazy from 3, and a up and down game now becomes a 20-point game that is insurmountable for one team to come back from, and then it just drags on. So I don't think we'll get that because they're all very quick. Now, they have to hit the timing in between these games and making sure it flows correctly, but I'm intrigued by the format and seeing if we get a champion, if that kind of rises up, because you're trying to kind of recreate the build-up to competition, and so you get a championship game. Maybe that works. The Team USA versus World aspect is interesting. I was interested to see, it's Adam Silver could additionally name All-Stars, but going through this exercise, he may not have to. And we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But the positionless thing is where my brow starts to raise because I'm a little older. I remember you used to have to, if you want to vote the All-Star game, you had to go to the arena and get a paper ballot and poke holes in it and drop it in a box. And it was just point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center with assorted names that they already pre-selected. No, you had no choice in who the names were. Yeah, hey, you want Shaq or you want Felton Spencer? What do you want to do?
Well, that feels like an easy choice. All due respect to Felton Spencer.
But now it's limitless. And so I'm intrigued. How is this going to be looked at? How is this going to be discussed? Who does this favor? What does it open up? Because I think there has been an element in the last few years where you could look and see, okay, the East front court is locked up. The West front court is locked up. This year, the West back court would be locked up if they were still voting that way. Now it's like, okay, what are these combinations going to look like? And our big is going to get respected in this format. Now, of course, the fact that the coaches do the reserves should probably balance some things out, but I'm intrigued nonetheless.
I like it. So 3 things from me before we dig in. We'll start with the Western Conference. So one, I don't know if you've either seen the podcast or seen the podcast clipped online. So do you agree with Kevin Durant that Stephen Curry ruined the All-Star game because of all the threes?
I'm not going to go on record saying that.
Okay, fair enough. Second, to the actual time limit of these games, I think they landed on 12 minutes. Do you feel like that is the sweet spot?
Well, yeah.
Is 12 a good number?
You just take a 48-minute game, split it in 4.
Okay, understood. And I have forgotten the third thing I want to say is since it is going to be, the fans, media, players are still deciding on the 5 starters for each conference. These are going to be 3 teams of 8. So because this is positionless, I wonder what the actual starting lineups are going to look like across these 3 teams. How traditional are these lineups going to be once the actual rosters are built from there? Is a thing that intrigues me.
I would imagine they're not going to be traditional. They're going to have to be some sort of version of balance, and it's going to be difficult because Team World's going to have
all the big
minimum 3 big people and 2 aliens. So it's what do you do with those dimensions?
Yeah, it's just gonna be. It's they're to the east again. We'll get there second, but just there's so many guards, so I'm just ooh, are they gonna start 3 guards because of this, or how's it gonna be split? So I'm curious about that part. But we'll start with the Western Conference. Steve, who, as of today, would be your Western Conference starters, or who's in consideration for you for the Western Conference starters?
Well, before I get into it, I quickly want to tip the cap to LeBron James because he made this thought exercise very difficult because me personally, have a tough time imagining an all-star game without LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine LeBron James will get the fan vote because he's LeBron James. I don't know how that split would end up after that, and I don't know what takes place, and I don't feel comfortable saying anything else outside of that. So I had a team that had LeBron starting, which took someone out of the All-Star game, and I'll leave that.
Okay.
Depending on how upset you make me with your Western Conference All-Star team. But for me, I have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay.
That's a lock. I have Nikola Jokic. I think that's a lock. I have Luka Doncic. I have Victor Wembanyama. And then it got interesting because I had a tough time between Stephen Curry and Anthony Edwards because they're both insane. But I went with the vet. I went Stephen Curry. So that would be my West starting 5.
Okay, understood. Like, the LeBron of it all is very interesting. And it was one of the 8 different things that put me in a headlock as I was thinking through all-star stuff. Because LeBron James last year wound up putting together an all-NBA caliber season, was an all-star. He was not the top vote getter in the league. He was not the top vote getter in his conference, which was a little bit of a surprise to me. I think clearly Jokic is the best player in the West / in the league and still is, etc. So him getting votes isn't a surprise. But this is LeBron James we're talking about. This is, if not the greatest player of all time, certainly one of the greatest players of all time. He's one of, if not the defining player of the post-MJ era. And so you would think that, plus he is literally a Los Angeles Laker and how important that franchise is, he would just kind of be baked into one. But he was not one last year. And this is with him playing at the level that he was playing at last season. So we fast forward to this season, in which, as of recording, LeBron James has played 10 games and has not played at an all-NBA level like he did last year. I am curious to see, what, to your point, what that split is going to look like. Because I do think the fanfare is going to be there for very obvious reasons. But if he wasn't one last year, and we haven't gotten the official "this is my last year" announcement from LeBron, it may be, it may not be. Does he wind up 3rd or 4th in terms of conference votes this year instead of baked in 1? And if so, because he isn't having the same on-court season as he did last year, does he fall a little bit lower with the players / media?
Now, this is where he was 2nd last year for the players and the fans. So I will throw that out there. 4th for the media. This is where the positionless thing gets tricky. Because does that help him or does that hurt him? Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued. Because technically it would be some combination of Jokic, KD, Wemby, LeBron if it was front court. It's not. It's just anyone you want. Yeah. So does that help him or hurt him? I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I'm just fascinated by the LeBron of it all. But you have listed your stars. I think that's fair. And so
now, would you like to reveal to the public your Western Conference All-Stars with your very, very specific criteria?
Yes, I would. And as to the criteria point, for people who have been listening to the pod for a while, or even recently, it's not anything new or fancy. We have a games played minimum for award stuff. I like to carry that over for the All-Star game because I am already thinking about award stuff. And I do just have the inherent belief, I generally think of the All-Star game as a merit-based thing. I go on the rant every year. It needs to be one or the other. This is either all for fun or this is going to count for Hall of Fame stuff and future contracts and contract incentives and all that good stuff. I like to go merit-based, and thus I want to see you on the court a baseline level of times. And so for award stuff, it's a 65-game minimum that comes out to roughly 79% of games. And so as of today's recording, 79% of games, you need to have played at least 21 games as of recording today to qualify for me. So that's all that is. And so
now, very quickly, would you like to inform the public of the names that you are not going to say due to this requirement?
Yes. So while we're in the Western Conference, Luka Doncic, as of today, has played in 20 games. He has obviously played well enough to make it, but not going to be on this edition of the team because of that.
Wow.
Anthony Edwards, when we did the earlier All-Star thing, he was short. He's also played 20 games. He's currently out right now. Victor Wembanyama, he's played 14 games so far. Stephen Curry, he's played 19 games. De'Aaron Fox has played 18 games. As Stephen Castle at 17 games, you want to go further down in terms of reserves and stuff. But those are some of the names that have missed out on the 21 games minimum so far.
Who, buddy? All right. So what is your Western Conference starting five?
So there we go.
Lucas White.
What do you mean? What? Got to get on the court. That's all it is. But and I also acknowledge like your team's going to be closer to what the real thing is than mine. But I want to remain consistent, and it also helps me in terms of we get any kind of injury replacements. I'm already kind of thinking forward on that kind of thing. See who's going to step up into those slots if necessary. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a very easy one. 32, 5, and 6 so far. 68 true shooting for a guard is insane. Leading the best team in the league. They're blitzing teams when he's on the court. We just did the MVP episode, so don't have to hang too far on Shai. Nikola Jokic, also on the team, averaging a triple-double, leading the league in rebounds and assists. Insanely efficient on top of that. Nuggets are blitzing teams when he's on the floor. We just did the MVP episode. Don't have to hang there too long. And from there, it gets fun for me. And so the three that I landed on for the starting group, we got two in Houston. We have Kevin Durant. We got Alperen Sengun.
Okay.
KD at 25, 5, and 4. Insane shooting split. Still want him to take more threes, but he's draining 42% of those. It's been solid defensively as well. Alperen Sengun, 24, 10, and 7 this year. He's taken another step defensively. Want to see more efficiency offensively, but a guy that can create his own shot, can play make. Those two are spearheading one of the best teams in the league in the Houston Rockets. Last spot is where I was like, ooh, what do I want to do here?
Yeah, what do you want to do here, buddy?
So I landed on Austin Reeves as the final.
Okay.
28, 6, and 7 right now. 61 on twos, 37% on threes, 88 from the line. He's getting to the line quite a bit. The playmaking is jumped. He's been very important for this Lakers group, especially in light of Luka missing some time, LeBron James missing the early portion of the season. Leveled up to a major degree. The Lakers still currently a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. He ended up being my spot, but there was some pretty stiff competition. You'll hear those names as we get into the reserves. But that is where I landed with the field right now. And again, This is with the understanding that like Luka is eventually going to get there, and thus he would just get that spot.
Yeah. So, all right, I understood.
But that's where I'm with the 5.
I'll go ahead and give my reserves very quickly. We get back to your list.
Okay.
So go ahead and smash those comments if you're on YouTube. If you're driving a car, lifting weights, just scream. It's fine.
You can be mad at me. That's fine.
I have Anthony Edwards.
Gotcha.
I have Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
I have Devin Booker. I have Alperen Sengun. I have Austin Reeves. I have Jamal Murray.
Okay.
And I have James Harden.
Okay.
Those are my reserves.
Okay. So before I flip to mine, was Murray the last guy in for you, or who was kind of the last reserve in? Who you kind of battling with on that front?
It was LeBron or Harden.
Okay.
That was the split between the two teams for me.
Okay. Gotcha.
Everyone else was pretty solidly in. I don't think there's too much of an argument. Houston gets 2. It sounds weird that Oklahoma City wouldn't get 2, which I think gets interesting if you want to have that topic of discussion. Like, who would the second one be? Jalen Williams just got here. Would it be Chet Holmgren?
We can pause there before I go. What would be the Chet Holmgren hesitation for you?
The Western Conference is tough, and a lot of people are having great seasons.
Fair enough.
Having to do a lot. It's nothing against Chet.
Okay. More so. Okay. Deep field, more offensive responsibility elsewhere. It's kind of.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Chet's named as a reserve, just because how good he's been and how good Oklahoma City's been. It's usually hard for a really good team to only send one All-Star if we're looking just historically. So again, I wouldn't be stunned by that. But for me, it's like, okay, Devin Booker's doing a whole lot in Phoenix. It's hard to deny Austin Reeves. Jamal Murray's been great this year. And there's a different aspect to this year's All-Star game. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Okay.
And then that's kind of where I got caught.
Okay, that makes sense. Just wanted to get the rationale there. I think that's fair. But for my reserves, I have them listed in alphabetical order. But for me, Denny Avdia is in 26, 7, and 6, getting to the line a ton, knocking down a bunch of threes. He's in as a reserve. He also just slots in as like a team world representative if you need him there. Devin Booker is in for me as well. 25, 4, and 7, as you mentioned, has done a lot for this Phoenix group that is still in playoff/play-in contention. James Harden's in. I will say I feel a little worse about his case compared to the first time we talked about All-Star stuff, but he is still in. It is still 26, 5, and 8 for him. The drives have still been very good. The playmaking, the shot making has all been there. This Clipper season is a mess in terms of like the transition defense or overall defense. Like, he plays a part of that, but he is clearly not the biggest reason why the Clippers have underachieved. So Harden's still in for me. Chet Holmgren is in for me. 19 and 8, a little bit over a block per game. Doesn't scream in the box score, but minutes are down. The impact is certainly there on both ends of the floor. We've talked a lot about the way that he has leveled up as a shot creator this year. Helps that he's knocking down threes this year. Still want to get the volume up. Still want to see a little bit more comfort against contests. But the inside the arc scoring for Chet has popped for me, and the defense has been astounding after a little bit of a weird start for him. But I think he's going to be firmly in the depoy conversation. He's just been very good. Lauri Markkanen is in for me. 28 and 7. Not shooting the leather off the ball that we were accustomed to, but he's taking more threes. The way that Utah has schemed him up and the way that he's gotten more comfortable as a driver, like he's doing more inside the arc work, getting to the free throw line a little bit more. Like that shot making has impressed me. And Utah, very quietly, hovering around the play-in picture. I don't know if they want to be there based on what this draft class is, but Lauri Markkanen has been very good. So he's in. Jamal Murray also in. I agree with you, Steve. 25 and 7 for him. Shooting 46% from three on real volume. He's been one of the best drivers in basketball. This is something that you highlight all the time. With Jamal Murray, you know he's got it cooking if he's getting downhill, and he has been able to get downhill a lot, and he's been effective when doing so. Second best player on this Denver Nuggets team that has still been very good without Aaron Gordon and the crew. Last guy in, or at least the last person on the reserve list for me, I have Julius Randle as the Minnesota rep since Anthony Edwards doesn't make the games played minimum. But Julius Randle has been very good in his own right, 23, 7, and 6. Insane shooting splits for him. 61 true shooting is the best of his career. He has been one of the best drivers in basketball. The playmaking, whenever he sees two, has been impressive to me as well. And so that would be my reserve group in the West.
Okay, understood. I do think there's an interesting conversation if you go Chet, Randle, Markkanen, who gets in. Because the deeper you go, depending on where your cut list is, for everyone out there, who's going to slot where? Because I think Randall's definitely done enough to be in consideration. So solid stuff. Did you have any honorable mentions as the dean of lists on the dunker spot?
The dean of lists is insane. But yes, like we already talked about, like the LeBron intrigue and how that's going to be, what that's going to mean. And if he is slotted in, that's naturally going to knock somebody off in this case. But beyond LeBron James, the Warriors have just been such a weird team this year, but like Jimmy Butler has been good overall this season. So like he was someone that I at least thought about, ultimately didn't make it in, but he's having a good season. I think more of the Castor Nation is like, you've been very good. We've kind of needed you to be elite in light of what's kind of happened around you and Steph and Draymond to a lesser degree. And it hasn't been that, but it has been very good. So Jimmy Butler was someone I considered. In the Utah division, Keontae George has just been very good. So I at least wanted to have his name down. Ultimately didn't make it. But he's been very good.
Keontae George, you've leveled up into Western Conference guard who is playing very well and has to deal with all of the other Western Conference guards. Welcome.
Yeah, remember this was just like, it was like CJ McCollum. It was like early De'Aaron Fox. And it's like, yeah, we see you. However, you're just going to be like 13th in guard voting because all these other dudes are doing stuff. And I'm so sorry. And then plus like the random, this player has a bunch of fans. And so like they're averaging 13 points per game, but they're sixth. We always had those. But
yeah, I take that list as disrespect to Mike Conley, but that's fine. Continue.
No, I know that is not. Shout out Mike Conley. And then one of the two rookies that I have mentioned for honorable mention stuff overall, just had a conversation about both, but I did write Cooper Flagg's name down. Like I think he's going to be part of the weekend anyway for any kind of rookie sophomore things. And so I was like, hey, he's playing well enough. That's very much we have a late injury in the process. You are already here. Would you like to play tomorrow? But he has been very good. So I at least wanted to write the name down. He's someone I gave some very loose consideration to. But like those were kind of the main three. Because like some of the other names that I had earlier in the cycle, like talking Aaron Gordon, obviously he's hurt now. Like Jaden McDaniels when he's having the early offensive surge plus the defense like that. I can't get to all-star consideration as the sample has grown, but he's still been very good. So like there are other names further down the list, but we've gone deep enough on that front. Those are the three that I wanted to say on the airwaves at the very least.
Understood. Speaking of the airways, keep us on your airways. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will get to the Eastern Conference portion of the program. All right, starting this Monday, the smartest NBA coverage on YouTube 5 days a week. Watch the Dunker Spot with Nekias, Duncan, and myself, bringing you the most elite X's and O's and film breakdowns. Kevin O'Connor, deep analysis, great hoops conversations, and every week, Tom Haberstroh and Dan Devine going to break down the stats to define the league on the big number, plus fast daily NBA updates and trends from Dan Titus to keep you ahead of the timeline. If you love basketball, welcome home.
All right, we are back with this episode of the Dunker Spot, and it is now time, Steve, to shift to the Eastern Conference. So similar prompt Who are the guys in consideration for you for these Eastern Conference starting slots? Who did you ultimately end up with?
The East gets really interesting, and this is where positionless basketball, the positionless voting will get fun, because I don't know how you don't have 3 or 4 guards in the starting lineup. So for me, I went with Jalen Brunson. I went with Cade Cunningham. I went with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I went with Donovan Mitchell. And then I went with Jaylen Brown.
Okay.
I think those guys have had a lot of responsibility put on their backs, and they performed pretty well. So that's my starting 5. Where are you at?
Okay. Well, before I go, was that the firm 5 for you? Who's kind of that 5th or 6th spot for you? Or who's the last one in?
Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
It was Tyrese Maxey. So it was either Maxey or Mitchell. In my brain, I went back and forth a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But I think I don't think he'd be wrong either way, being honest. I think what Jaylen Brown's done for Boston, the consistency of it's been incredible. You can say the same thing about Maxey. You can say the same thing about Donovan Mitchell. So just probably comes down to whatever your subjective tiebreaker is. I've just had Mitchell above Maxey so far this year to a degree. Yeah. So that's where I leaned.
That's where you leaned. Okay. Understood. Jaylen Brown, 29, 6, and 5 this year, 55% on twos. We've talked a lot about what the mid-range season has been for him in particular. Quietly a career high in assists. Just continue to grow within this context, and Boston has been very good as of late. So I don't mind it. As for me in the Eastern Conference starters, similar bit, minimum 21 games played. So Giannis and Paolo both at 17 games right now. And like if you're trying to find like another Nick, because I was kind of intrigued by the early impact of OG Anunoby at the very least, but like he's at 17 games too, so even if I wanted to consider him, couldn't get there. But like those are the 3 names there. Naturally, Giannis, whenever he comes back, he's going to end up being in. But for the purposes of this, he is out. And so for me, Steve, I agree with you on Jalen Brunson. As we just, again, we're fresh off of the MVP conversation earlier this week. He ended up being 3 for me. 29 and 6, nearly 60% true shooting. The drives, the scoring just overall has been incredible for Jalen Brunson. We got to see that all weekend. Shout out to the Cup victory. We have more Knicks thoughts coming a little bit later in the pod, so not going to hang here too long on Jalen Brunson. He's been very good. Donovan Mitchell also in. 31, 5, and 6 for him, nearly 63 true shooting. He's been one of the best drivers in basketball. Cade Cunningham is in, 27, 6, and 9 as of recording. One of the funnier three-point shooting splits in the league, depending on what you describe as funny. 40% on pull-up threes this year, Steve. 19.6% on catch and shoot threes, Steve.
Yeah, man.
I don't think...
You're not playing drop against me anymore, buddy. Get the step back.
It's insane. So, like, I don't think Cade is that level of off-the-dribble shooter, and I certainly don't think he's that poor as a catch-and-shoot guy. Like, I think that is going to normalize as the year goes on. But that's where you land on, like, 32% from 3 or wherever he's at right now because of that kind of weird split. But he's obviously been very good, very important to playmaking his pop. His chemistry with Jalen Duren, something that we've talked about, and surprise, surprise, Jalen Duren is also in this starting group for me.
Oh my, Jalen Duren as a starter. Didn't see that coming. I'm intrigued.
Duren as a starter. Yeah, I think the defense has been very good. Like you've talked a lot about the growth offensively, what he's been able to do with short roll stuff. The screening feels better. The finishing has been absurd. Like I have like a bunch of like drive stats in my notes. And so the minimum I set for the high volume guys is 200. Like Duren doesn't hit that group. But like 1.18 points per possession on any trip featuring a Jalen Duren drive. And that's 80 drives for him. That is one of the best marks in basketball. And he has put a hurting on defenders that have tried to get in his way on that front. So, two-way play, been strong. He's on the best team in the East on top of that. Like, I think Jalen Duren deserves a nod. He's going to be on the team for me either way. But I don't feel bad at all having him as a starter, especially with, again, Giannis at 17 games played right now instead of the 21 required. So having set size in there makes sense for me. Last guy in, Tyrese Maxey. Not the last guy in, but I skipped ahead because I put the Pistons together. But Tyrese Maxey also in for me. 32, 5, and 7 for him, 60 true shooting. The way that he's been used on and off the ball has been a joy to watch. More poised inside the arc. Finishing's been there. More foul drawing craft. Love his usage as a screener on and off the ball. It's just been a really fun Tyrese Maxey season. And this Sixers group in the playoffs right now, Steve. As a recording.
Currently, as of right now. They were the 4 seed 2 days ago. You never know what's going to happen to the Eastern Conference. You check those standings every day. I was going to quip after I said Jaylen Brown and you immediately read Jaylen Brown's stats, that there was no way you had Jaylen Brown in the starting lineup. Was that a battle for you?
It was indeed.
And also, I was correct.
You were indeed correct. And like that, It was tough because Jaylen Brown, and naturally Jaylen Brown is a reserve for me, so we can spoil that already. He's been very good there. In terms of like the starting group, it was just kind of like I could get to 5 perimeter players, and again, because it's going to be like 3 teams of 8, even if it ends up being that for the Eastern starters, like the actual starting lineup may not have all 5 of those guys start together. But like the size element and what Darren's done defensively gave him the slight edge for me with this group. But like Jaylen Brown, a very worthy all-star starter. So not at all mad at the selection there.
Understood. All right. Well, you know what? If you're listening to this, go ahead and email your starters at dunkerspot@yahoo.com. I don't have the password. If you're watching this, tell us your starters in the comments. But let's get these Eastern Conference reserves because I'm very, very intrigued on what you laid it on here.
Okay. You want me to go first with the
no?
Okay.
I'm gonna go first.
The immediate note is crazy, but go ahead. I'm listening.
I have Tyrese Maxey. I have Karl Anthony Towns. I have Jalen Duren. I have Jalen Johnson. I'm so sorry, Canada. I have Brandon Ingram. I have Franz Wagner with an asterisk.
Okay.
But I think he should be back in time, so he should be in. And then I have Norman Powell.
Okay. Well, first question before I go. Brandon Ingram over Scotty Barnes. What ultimately swung it for you?
Brandon Ingram has had to do so much for this Toronto Raptors offense and has consistently done it night in and night out. And I'm just going to value that and give him the tip of the cap.
Okay. Okay. We'll leave it there. Is it my turn for the reserves?
Yeah, got him. Yeah, and I almost had Paolo down too. He's gonna be hot.
I'd be like, okay. Hey, listen, our teams don't have to be the same. That's okay. But
who are your reserves, Nekias?
All right, reserves as with the West, put them in alphabetical order. Bam Adebayo for me, 19-9, still on the block. He's been one of the best defenders in basketball. He's also going to be factor in heavily in the DPOY conversation, especially if Wemby is at 14 games, I think, as of recording right now. So if he doesn't end up making the threshold, the field's going to open up. Chet, Bam, a few others. But he has been, when on the floor, I think Miami's best player. With all due respect to Norman Powell, who, spoiler, he's also on the squad for me. But I think Bam should be, if there's going to be one Heat rep, when you factor in the Giannis and stuff like that, like I would go Bam over Norm. Okay. But Bam is in for me. With all due respect to Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes is my Toronto Raptors rep, 28-5. The work that he's done defensively this year, I feel, is flying a little bit under the radar. And while he does not have the same scoring burden as Brandon Ingram, he has been tasked with doing a little bit of everything else. The high post work, the occasional inverted pick and roll, creating extra possessions on the offensive glass on top of that. Defensively, he's been tasked with guarding a little bit of everyone. He's been flying around on the back end. Scotty is my Toronto rep with all due respect to Brandon Ingram. Quietly shooting 39% from 3 as well, Scotty Barnes, so keeping an eye on the jumper. But Scotty's in. I'm so sorry. You are not funny. But Jaylen Brown also gave the stats a little bit earlier. He has spearheaded this Boston group that remains in the playoff picture when a lot of people didn't feel like they would. Quick hat tip to us, Steve, as we did our season preview, and both of us was like, hey, man, this Boston team might have some stuff. I wouldn't write off the Boston Celtics, and here they are, having a lot of fun. So shout out to Jaylen Brown. While we're with the Jaylens, Jalen Johnson is also in for me. And as you asked me the question about Jaylen Brown in starter consideration, like Jalen Johnson was also someone that was in strong starter consideration for me, especially if I want to have a little bit more size. Couldn't ultimately get there. I find myself a little too annoyed with what some of the defensive things have been with him off the ball in particular. But he's been so good overall. And he has helped keep this Atlanta Hawks group afloat. As Trae Young just made his return on Thursday night, so we'll see what the integration is going to look like. Only 20 minutes for Trae. That Hornets-Hawks game, I haven't finished it yet. Started earlier this morning, and I was like, okay, I got to buckle down and finish these notes. But good Lord, what an up-tempo game that was. But anyway, Jalen Johnson's in. Norman Powell in, 24 points per game, shooting the leather off the ball. His drives have been important as Miami has shifted their offense completely. Karl Anthony Towns is in for me, 22-12. Weird start efficiency-wise. Mike Brown obviously trying to figure out what is the blend of screening usage for Cat, what are the elbow touches going to look like, just how are we going to keep him involved. Again, more Knicks thoughts a little bit later. He's starting to settle in. Been very good. Franz Wagner, last name starts with a W, so I'm saying him last, but Franz is in for me, 23-6-4. meets the games played threshold right now. He is still out. And so convenient timing for him and for Austin Reeves for that matter. But he's in. He's been very good for this Orlando Magic group. Really stepped up while Paolo was out earlier this season as the Magic started to turn their season around. So Franz Wagner is in for me, Steve.
Okay. So who were the tough outs for you? Was there anyone that's there? Because I thought a lot about Bam Adebayo, because I've always considered Bam to be an all-star caliber player, and I'll probably switch that at some point later on. Okay. But it was a tough cut. I want to salute Norman Powell for his start. Pascal Siakam, I had down in paper, and then as I put other names together, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. Not because Pascal hasn't played well, but man, tough.
It's a tough field, yeah.
I also wrote the name Con Knipple down.
Okay.
Because of what he's done for the Hornets. I didn't get much further. It's an interesting year because the East has been wide open and the Cleveland Cavaliers have not been good. So was Evan Mobley in consideration for you?
He was. Like, I was thinking back to, kind of refresh my brain because I did, again, an early all-star look about a month or so ago. Just get, like, really early thoughts. That's where, going back to the West, where you had the Aaron Gordon mention, the Jaden McDaniels mention, Stephon Castles mention, et cetera. It's like deep cuts, right? And so, not the face, you read the article, come on. But as I circled back, I was like, some of these names are naturally falling off. That's deeply unfortunate. Like, Bam was a games played cut for me at the time of that article, and now he's firmly in. So as far as tough cuts for me, I just didn't know what to, like, mostly because of the world field, and I guess Chicago is still technically in the play-in picture. Like, Josh Giddey is still averaging 29 and 9 and shooting 40% for three, and the Bulls are just a much better team with him on the floor. And so, like, that has still mostly held. Still a very flawed top option for a team, hence the Bulls being where they are. But, like, he has still been good. And when you factor in, like, the team world selections and stuff, like, that I would imagine also give him an edge. So he was someone I thought about. And then I kind of got into, like, who would be your your Derek White type all-star cases. This player is on a good team and has been very impactful.
Would it not be Derek White?
No, not this year, unfortunately. Though I'm glad Derek White is back to knocking down shots. That's a good shot from you, by the way. But I was like, okay, who's kind of in that class for me / injury replacement type dudes, right? And so again, I mentioned OG at the top. He hasn't played enough. So I was like, how do I feel about this Mikal Bridges season? Because he has been incredibly good on both ends of the floor. And he has been part of this Knicks offensive empowerment. Defensively, he just seems to be all the way back. And that has been super enjoyable. So like I thought about him. And then as the Orlando Magic have perked back up in the standings, I had more thought than I thought I would about Jalen Suggs. Ultimately didn't make it.
Not Desmond Bane?
Yeah, like between him and Desmond Bane, really. Like cold start for Desmond Bane kind of hurt. But like I was just thinking about Jalen Suggs of it all. Because like he would more so fit like the Derek White mold than Desmond Bane would, because Bane's just more initiation duties, more of a scorer, et cetera, et cetera. And so with Jalen Suggs, you look at the box score numbers as of today, it's like 15, 4, and 6, and roughly 2 steals per game, which is good, but you don't think about that as all-star good. And then you scroll over to the minutes column, it's like, oh, he's doing this in 26 minutes. That's kind of nuts. He has once again put together an all-defense caliber season at the guard spot. Can put him on just about anyone. Will create a bunch of turnovers. Juice the transition attack. We recently talked about Orlando and their emphasis of getting the ball up quicker, et cetera. And then I was just thinking about the offense for him. 40.5% from 3 on spot ups this year. The pull-ups is what brings the overall number down for him right now. But I do think the timeliness of some of his aggression has been important for this Orlando squad, especially during these stretches where, again, they didn't have Paolo, it was him and Franz. Now they don't have Franz, it's him and Paolo. Go back to the weekend where, 25 in the first half against New York before he got hurt and ultimately couldn't finish that game. And it's like, he's just had more of those moments this year to where his aggression, his growth as a playmaker, though I do still chuckle at, here's a random no look. Here is, I'm trying to remember which game. I think it was that Knicks game. He's bringing the ball up the left side of the floor. He had somebody trailing, just a bounce pass between his legs to the guy that was trailing. I was like, you didn't have to do that, but like, I'm glad that it's funny that you have this kind of energy about you this year. But like the shot making, the playmaking is perked up. The defense has been very good. If you care about advanced metrics at all, like EPM is one that I do like among the many that are out there. Among the guys that have played 21 games so far this year, he is 5th in the East in EPM. And one of the few players among that top group of guys that's like a positive offensively and defensively. I'm just like, I can't get there all the way, But like, I didn't erase his name as quickly as I thought I would have, as I was like kind of digging into his case. So like, Suggs was interesting to me.
Yippee! Did you have any consideration for Michael Porter Jr.?
Yes, also on the list. 26, 7, and 3, 40% from 3, on very high volume. Like, I like the way that he's been used off the ball. I think Jordy Fernandez has done a really good job of scheming him up. Thought about him and Nick Claxton. He would ultimately end up being the Nets rep. But like, yeah, he's had a very good season, and I think that's why, shout out to Ellie who sent the mailbag question not too long ago. Like, when, if at all, do the Nets consider trading him if he's going to play like this? Can we get more picks with him performing at this level? But no, he's been very good. He was someone I wrote down. Con Knipple was also on the list. As I teased, I had 2 rookies among the honorable mentions in both conferences. Con was the other. So
okay, is that the full list?
That is the full list of the honorable mentions.
Fantastic. Now, this is where it gets interesting because when the format was initially named, I was like, okay, how does this team world get built? What's it look like? Mm-hmm. Especially considering Joel Embiid has been injured in and out. So it's like, okay, what are the locks here?
Yeah.
And so by what I was doing, I ended up with Shea, Jokic, Luka, Wemby, Giannis, Şengün, Jamal Murray. It's already 7. I only need 8. And then I had Franz, and that was 8.
Yeah.
And so I'm intrigued to see, okay, I think the voting could just land it outright. I was trying to think of additional names. And so it got interesting because I was like, Pascal, Lauri Markkanen. What happens if there's injuries? Does Dylan Brooks get consideration? Does it go to OG Anunoby? And then I raised my hand and I'm like, is this how Norm Powell gets in the team world? Because you remember the fine print.
Yeah. Or US-based players linked to other countries. Yeah.
So I'm just throwing it out there. Could get interesting.
And as you mentioned, also circling back to the honorable mentions, like Pascal Siakam didn't type his name, but he was one of the early mentions in the article that I wrote. Like, he still deserves consideration. I agree with you there. I just didn't have his name typed out. But shout out to Pascal.
Did you circle back to the honorable mentions? You could just talk about it right.
I did. That's literally what I did. I just said extra words. It's fine. But to the team world roster for me, because I also had this down. So I landed with, in the West, we got Shea, we got Denny Avdija, we got Lauri, we got Alperen Şengün, we got Jokic, we have Jamal Murray. And then out east, I have Franz. And then because Cat has the Dominican Republic, I have Cat in. But it could also be Norm Powell. So I guess either one will work there. So I guess that 8, maybe 9 with the current roster. And again, this is also with the context that, like, I don't have Luka yet, I don't have Giannis yet, don't have Wemby yet, etc. And so, like, I think the field for Team World is a pretty deep one.
Okay.
As I am curious to see, like, how that ultimately ends up shaking out, to your point. But yeah, this is a fun field for me. So a lot of good seasons happening across the league. So that's where we're at with the All-Star stuff, Steve.
Fun stuff, guys.
Well, if you want more fun stuff, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break. And when we return, it's time to talk a little bit more about the NBA Cup winning New York Knicks. And we are back with this episode of the Dunker Spot. Thank you for rocking with us. If you haven't yelled at me about my All-Star selections already, it is now time to give a little love to a team that's very rarely talked about, Steve. The New York Knicks, as of recording, 19-7. They're second in the Eastern Conference, quietly making some ground on the Detroit Pistons at the top of the conference, but second in offense, 15th in defense, third in net rating overall, per the good folks at Cleaning the Glass. They are fresh off of a buzzer-beating win. But overall, they are fresh off of the NBA Cup victory over the San Antonio Spurs, 11-point win there. Jalen Brunson was excellent. OG Anunoby was excellent. Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns named to the all-tournament team for NBA Cup play, so salute to them. And I think just with this Knicks group, felt like a time to check back in with them because they continue to look comfortable. They continue to find themselves on both ends of the floor. Starting to see a little bit more lineup experimentation, which is exciting to me with this Knicks group. But one, I just kind of start with the offense. I know we've talked about it before, but like the broader strokes of this group to where there has been a lot more emphasis on maybe not overall pace, and I have some fun numbers on that front, but we need to give ourselves more wiggle room in the half court. We need a little bit more organization. We want some flow, but overall, let's get a little bit more wiggle room. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of talent that can be used in different ways together. Let's make sure we actually have time to do so. and to explore and experiment and to ultimately bend and break down defenses and create open looks.
Well, let's hang right there. Let's hang right there for a second, because I think the biggest thing that Coach Mike Brown did was not just pace, as people wanted to say, it was tempo in the half court. And I think the tempo has led to this stretch where last 10 games, top 3 in offense. They've been a top offensive team. And it's something we've talked about in the preseason, during the season. We've been tracking this team all year long, so it's been surprising. The thing about the tempo is it's getting the ball up early. It's having multiple people who can get it up and go, like grab and go possessions from Josh Hart, OG Anunoby. You want to deny Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges will bring the ball up, and we'll get into what we want. And then what New York does in early offense is just we have triggers to what we're going to do. We're going to have a guard come and set a screen, and then we'll have a guard come from the other wing and set another screen. We'll do dribble handoff at half court with the wings clear to kind of have spacing. We'll have Jalen Brunson screen for Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges early in the clock. That will get us and tell us, hey, we've started what we're doing. And the thing that they've built on all year long, I think you've seen it during this entire stretch, but I think specifically Cup final against the Spurs, even their last game against the Pacers when they didn't have a lot of people in, we're getting to the next action. We're comfortable getting to the next action. We're thriving when we get to the next action. And then it's not with an element of, oh, we're bogged down, although physicality can bother them, but it's more of a, okay, we're flowing. We're going to keep pressure on you. I think that opens so much up for them to where, okay, I don't necessarily know when Jalen Brunson's going to get the ball back, but he may get the ball back before we're fully loaded up, and now he's attacking a different way. Mikal Bridges, his screens can pop more. The cutting can have more of an impact. So I think their sustained flow and their ability to believe in that consistently has allowed them to even thrive in a night against the Pacers where guys are out of the lineup because they have a comfort with what they're doing offensively. So I just wanted to make sure that people understand the tempo point is so important to what they're doing flow-wise to survive and thrive offensively. Continue.
There you go. And just to bounce off of that, Steve, because I think that was very well said. And like to the numbers portion of the program, last year, in terms of average time it takes for a team to cross half court, the Knicks were 27th, took 4.5 seconds on average. Shave a few tenths of a second off, you go from 27th to 14th. Is that the fastest in the league? No. But going from towards the bottom to the middle of the pack gives you more wiggle room to the tempo point. They haven't become like last year's Pacers. That gives them more room in terms of the average time it takes for them to get into their first action. As you mentioned, the early handoffs, the early screens from Mikal Bridges and others, they were 28th in the average time to first action last year, up to 17th this year. Again, is that the fastest in the league? Absolutely not. Closer to average. But it helps with the flow. And so then overall, in terms of average possession length, how long are these trips averaging, landing? They were 28th last year. They're 27th this year. So they can still, to your point, we will flow and we will find something. We still have Jalen Brunson, to a lesser degree, Karl-Anthony Towns. We still have these possession enders. But because we have better tempo, we're getting it up earlier, we're getting into actions earlier, we're now able to flow into more things. And if all else fails, we still have these two guys that can get us a bucket, get to the free throw line, or both in the best case scenario. And then even looking at those kind of possessions on trips that end in the last 8 seconds of a shot clock. They were 7th last year in terms of points per possession on that front, but they led the league in those possessions per game. This year, that's dropped to 4th, so still pretty high volume, but not as often, and they're more efficient on those trips, which again speaks to we have more flow, we have more tempo, and we still have these possession enders when necessary. And so I just really want to just more so highlight what you have already pointed out, what you noted there. And it's fun to see like the numbers also bear that kind of thing out.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to kind of just everyone being empowered within this offense to kind of make plays. Like you see them go side to side real quick. You see them get off the ball real quick. You see just a lot of movement. Like I think when you watch the Knicks, you got to respect their random movement, their random cuts. It's not just the, okay, here's a pick and roll, we're cutting from the wing. It's in transition. Mikal Bridges does it all the time. Runs and run on one wing, goes to the other side. They use it to kind of just confuse defenses, take away nail help, but also take away backline help. So if you're looking at the ball and your man is either on the wing or it looks like he's flowing to the corner and you think, okay, this is my responsibility, all of a sudden he's on the other side. If you didn't catch that and switch it soon enough, it opens up a different portal for the Knicks. So it's one of those things where the Knicks keep pressure on you in that way. And they do it randomly too. Like, I think that's one of the big things that Josh Hart has helped with. Like, okay, if I don't have anything and I'm over here with 2 other people, I'm getting out. So I'm going to dive out of the swing. I'm going to get out of here. Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson, anyone, they'll exchange on the weak side. So there's just an element of them moving things around just enough. And you combine that with everyone just kind of being a little bit of a threat offensively. And so I enjoy, like, Mikal Bridges feels like you never know when his pick and roll is going to be live. You never know when his cut's going to be live. You never know when his screen is going to be a pop from mid-range. OG's cuts and now his post-ups and his drives off of random flow where, you know, Jalen Brunson has it. He sees nail help, kicks to OG, you have a drive. They've just kind of made everyone live. And that's kind of why you see someone like Tyler Kolek having the stretch he's having to where, okay, I understand what I'm supposed to do in the offense. I keep things moving, but there's also room for me to attack and grow within that. You see Jordan Clarkson becoming more comfortable of late, understanding, well, I mean, that's kind of what he does, but, I can do this. Yeah. And so that's where I think you're seeing now everything just kind of continue to build for the Knicks in a positive way.
No, I'm glad you hit on not just the spacing portion, but like the movement portion of the program. Because I think we're not too far off from one of the prime games, and Jalen Brunson was talking to Udonis Haslem, and UD was pointing out one of the cuts from Mikal Bridges where he just went from like one corner to the other in the middle of that. And Jalen Brunson's like, dog, y'all did that against us. What are you talking about? You just wanted to say that. Very funny moment. But like it also just kind of speaks to, you know, to your point, there is a level of randomness in terms of you don't know when these cuts are going to happen. And it's not just, you know, if we're going to make the Miami comp, like some of these cuts for them are automatic. If someone's bringing it up this side of the floor, we are going here. And then we start the wheel, et cetera, et cetera. With guys like Mikal Bridges, like there is a basic understanding of this is where we want guys to be. These are the spots that we want filled. But you never know when it's going to hit. And so your point about not knowing when a Mikal cut or Mikal action in general being live, I think is a really strong one. And I think Mikal Bridges obviously has not been the best player for the New York Knicks this year, but he kind of feels like the face of what these changes are in a way. I hope that makes sense. Because like he just kind of exemplifies, we want tempo, here's this transition guy who can drive, who can space, who can dive from the wing, can also be used as a screener. Okay, you want to flow side to side? Here's a guy, Mikal Bridges. Like, you don't want to give him 25 pick and rolls a game. I guess except for that stretch when he first got to Brooklyn. You could do that because he was just shooting a letter off the ball. But, like, no, we don't want to do that all the time, but he can. And he can help us keep things moving. And so, like, I just love that he's kind of been the face of this, and he has responded with one of the most, if not the most efficient season of his career. And I think that overall empowerment permeates through the rest of this roster. Like, I'm glad you brought up Tyler Kolek. We're not too far removed, at least for me, like watching that Knicks Raptors game in the quarterfinals. And second quarter comes, and here's just Tyler Kolek driving all over the place. It's like, well, one, I'm glad he's playing because we surely didn't see much of that last season. But on top of that, the fact that he has the freedom and the aggression to say, okay, this is the space. I know where guys are going to be. This is a matchup. I know I can win. I can get downhill and generate something good. It's a breath of fresh air for this Knicks offense. And this is where they were good last year. They're a little bit better this year, but it also just feels so much different than last season. And I think that's where it kind of pops.
Well, yeah. I mean, they had movement sets last year. The problem was it took 16 seconds for them to get to the movement and another 12 to move. So you feel a much better version of it. And I think it allows them to kind of play through different games and different scenarios. And I think that's highlighted in this recent stretch because the Spurs had a little bit of control of that Cup final game. They had a little bit of control of the tempo, but the Knicks being able to kind of continue to fire away, continue to believe in what they do, that stands out. You play Indiana, we don't have people, but we know what we do. And I think that's where you see the growth of a team over the course of the year. And I think that's the biggest thing for the Knicks. They've talked about it. They figured it out. They felt it out. They've made adjustments. And I think this sets them up for positivity down the line because they have a nice little version of lineup versatility that I don't know if people respect enough or understand enough because we can, if we have to, go double big. We can play Josh Hart at the 4. We can play OG at the 4. We can play these 3-guard lineups featuring Brunson, Clarkson, Kolek, or Brunson, Deuce, or, you know what I mean? You could put together different combinations to where, okay, we have 3 guards out here. We have a little bit of defense. We have some size. We have Mitchell Robinson crashing the glass. They just mash things together. And I think that kind of flexibility will pay off down the line for them because the regular season, the journey of the regular season is about figuring out who you are, understanding what you do well, responding to, difficult moments. And I don't think we get this Knicks stretch if they don't get beat up by Orlando early in the season. Like, I don't think we get here without Orlando just kind of bringing them into the mud a little bit. But the playoffs, you're going to have to navigate through different matchups. You're going to have to navigate through needing different things on both ends of the floor. And I think them being able to experiment is going to allow them to understand, okay, this is what we do really well, but if we need this, I can go to this lineup. If we need more of that, I can go to this lineup, and we can still maintain what we do. Mm-hmm. That's something where it felt like before, hey, this is our lineup. Hey, Josh Hart, are you going to make threes?
Oh, no.
Well, there's just more of a feel of flexibility for New York this year.
Yeah, I like that. I actually wanted to ask you a question, because I think we both throughout this podcast kind of sprinkled in some Cat conversations or some Cat thoughts. Where are you at with Cat and his usage in this Knicks offense now compared to earlier in the season?
You took my question for you from me in a way that I am not sure how I feel about. But I'm not as worried about the Karl-Anthony Towns portion, because I think you can always get him going to a degree. And I think it's more important that they have everything else in place. And then, hey, Cat, here's some more elbow touches. Hey, here's some more dribble handoffs from the top. Hey, here's a post up. Here's some room for you to drive. Like, you can do that and do that on top of what you've built, as opposed to taking what you've built and trying to force the Cat stuff in there. And so it's a tricky balancing act. And we've seen at times where the Knicks have decided to lean, okay, no, we need to get Cat going. Slows him down a little bit. Gets a little tricky. Okay, so maybe we not do that much, but we need to keep him an emphasis because we need him to score. So it's not something where I've just been like, man, he's struggling. He can't find it. I've never had that feel about it. It just kind of feels like they're my Browns tried to build this up, get them to play the right way, get them to play off of each other, get them to flow. And some of that is going to take touches away from almost everybody to a degree, but it's going to enhance it in the long run.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
What about you? Because you were team, hey, I don't know how we're getting Cat involved. And you're like, hey, they are getting Cat involved. So where is your standpoint right now?
I am feeling better about it. And again, sorry for taking the question. I didn't mean to step on your toes there. But I am feeling
you're good. I'm doing banter.
I know. I am also doing banter. But no, I feel better about the Cat portion. I think you zoom out overall this year, he was around 60 touches per game last year. He's down to 54 this year. So to your point about everyone's getting a little bit more of a piece of the pie, offense kind of shifted in terms of how they want to spread things out. And Cat was an early portion of taking the hit there. And as we talked about earlier this year, it was, again, drawing another parallel to the Miami thing. So I guess like Cat would be Bam in this case, where it's like, okay, we know we can get to this. I didn't like the flow of when they were getting to it, because it felt like flow. Oh, right, we got to get Cat involved. Here's 3 straight elbow touches for Cat, or 3 straight post-ups for Cat. And it's like, well, we want him involved. It's not like that. It's kind of like the classic like 2K thing you're playing with your friends. They miss you a few times, and it's like, oh, snap, my bad. Here, you just bring the ball up. And it's like, well, no, I'm not asking to run the offense. I'm just saying I'm open. Just pass to me when I'm open so I can take this catch and shoot shot. You know what I mean? And so, like, with Cat, the thing that I've enjoyed as of late, and like we saw flashes of it in the early season, but like it feels more consistent to me in my watching, is that as you talk about the flow of the New York Knicks, it feels like more, Cat Brunson Cat pick and roll early. It's not a real one, but like we're just gonna get you moving, and then we're gonna go to the other side. And we're gonna try to attack, and if we don't have it, now here's Cat flashing to the elbow, and now it's Cat initiating something. Someone's cutting off of him, or he gets to attack, or maybe it's another pitch back to Jalen Brunson for another pick and roll, but it's with an empty side. And now this is the real one. And now you don't know what you want to do as a defense. It's just like a little bit of token usage to make sure you are a part of this possession, even if it isn't for you. And then if it doesn't work, we still involve you later in the possession. I think that factors into, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, the Knicks on possessions that finish in the last 8 seconds of the shot clock, they are more efficient than they were last year. And I think the types of possessions or the types of endings to these possessions have shifted a little bit to where it's a little bit more defined. Like we're going to get Cat as like the second or third wave of this in some kind of way, whether it's just an elbow touch, you go to work, whether it's just you get to drive, or you are flowing into a 2-man action with someone. And so it's kind of a way to not turn this into, a Jokic type offense, a Sabonis type offense. Like you are just the hub, you're running delay, or you're at the elbow and we just run around you. They sprinkle that stuff in, but when they sprinkle it in, feels more impactful. And so like I'm starting to feel a lot better about the flow of all of this with Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think that plus the fact that he is hitting threes again, like the efficiency bump is just coming, but I just feel better about the overall flow of all this stuff with Cat.
Yeah, I understand. That's good. And I think For me, this is when you get when the standings start to stabilize, teams make a run, start to think playoff wise. How many of these questions are you starting to answer? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of the offensive ones are getting checked off. Not perfect, but they're getting checked off. And now defensively, there's a compete level that's raised up. There are things they're still going to have to solve as more teams present them issues. But I think the Knicks have put themselves in a strong position, guys.
I like it. Can you indulge me for like a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes?
Maybe, depending on what you do.
Because you mentioned the two big lineups and just the overall versatility for the New York Knicks. And I just want to say, Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass is such a monster, Steve. He is so good at what he does. And like the actual numbers absurd. As of recording, averaging 4.5 offensive rebounds per game in under 18 minutes a night. He's third in the NBA in offensive rebounding so far. But like the way that he goes about it is... It's fun when watching Knicks games, man. Like whether they're playing well and then he just makes you feel worse, or they're off to a sluggish start and then he checks in. Either way, like I go back to, and we talked about this before, where the Knicks played New York, where the Knicks played the Heat in back-to-back games, but that first game, and Mitchell Robinson just eats Khalil Ware's lunch to the point where Udonis Haslem's like, "Hey, I text Khalil Ware after the game. Like I need you to watch that tape and see what he did to you." And in watching that tape, the amount of early work that Mitchell Robinson does, no matter where he is astounding. If he's in the dunker spot area and someone's behind him, like he is moseying under to get inside of the defender. You try to box him out, no. And like now the only way to get the ball is to reach over Mitchell Robinson. You're putting yourself in foul trouble if you're trying to do that. In addition to him just being 7'1", he can jump and he has long arms, so you can't really get the ball anyway. But like the early positioning that he gets there. And then when he's behind someone, the somewhat subtle, but not too subtle bumps that he gets into because he's just darting down to get hands on someone. But then he kind of shows his hands, but because of the momentum and how strong he is, he's still moving people out of the way. And then it's just tap city. He either grabs it or he's tapping it to himself and he's slapping it back behind him. He's just so good at the art of offensive rebounding. And for a Knicks group that is as efficient as they are offensively, on the nights where they don't have the shots falling, have a guy that can say, actually, I will just swing this game 4 minutes at a time. We just saw it in the Cup final to where the Spurs had absolutely no answer for Mitchell Robinson on the offensive glass. I just wanted to salute him and the work that he's doing on that front.
Understood. Salute to Mitchell Robinson.
That's good stuff, Steve. I think before we get out of here, just one, because we talked about Mikal, and I think, again, he's kind of been the face of this evolution for New York. Do you feel like there's room for any different with him offensively? Would you like to see any more on-ball usage for him and like the non-Brunson or Cat minutes? Or do you feel like this is the actual ideal blend of the Mikal Bridges experience?
He's in a good spot. Leave him where he's at. He's got enough initiation. He's got enough empowerment. He can cut. He can screen. He can get to his spots when he wants to within the flow. Leave it alone.
Okay, understood. Last thing for me, any other Knicks notes or Knicks shout-outs that you want to get to before we transition to free throws?
No.
Okay. If we get the firm no from Steve, we're so back. And with that, all right, Steve, let's get into some free throws to close this out. The WNBPA authorized the strike when necessary yesterday. Do you think we actually get a strike? Or do you think this is just a next phase to make these negotiations more serious and they ultimately figure something out?
I have no concerns. The W will be back.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Better defensive season so far, Steve. Bam Adebayo or Chet Holmgren?
Bam Adebayo.
Okay. Better defensive season, Steve. Cason Wallace or Asar Thompson?
Cason Wallace.
All right. Similar vein. Jalen Suggs or Amen Thompson?
Jalen Suggs.
Okay. All right. Jaden McDaniels or Dylan Brooks?
Dylan Brooks.
All right. Zooming out, who's had a better season in your opinion? Devin Booker or Jimmy Butler?
Devin Booker.
Got you. Who's your sixth man of the year right now?
It's a good question. I have to think about that. I can remember who's starting and who's not starting. So give me a second.
You can give it to Steven Adams if you want. I think that's it.
Why would I give it to Steven Adams?
Because he's been incredible this year.
Why would I do that?
Because he's been incredible this year. What do you mean?
I'll circle back. What's your next switch? Circle back to that one.
All right. Well, while we're on the Rockets, do you have any Rockets closing lineup concerns?
No, and one of my free throws is actually a Rockets fan is going to be okay, because why do y'all do this every single time something happens? Like, you lost to the Pelicans, you lost a 20-point lead. Your team's going to be fine. You got KD Shingu pick and roll. Stop panicking all the time. You set yourself up where you act like you're the expert on your team, and then you're mad all the time, and then you say no one respects us, and then when people respect your team, oh no, we're not good. Which one do you want? Which one is it? Do you just want to be loud and wrong, or do you want to be loud and right and losing? I don't understand. Pick a lane.
I'm going to be honest. I did not expect the Houston Rockets to bring this out of you. Maybe I should. I feel like this is like 3 straight years of you being annoyed with Rockets discourse. Oh, okay. Fair enough. We'll move off the Houston Rockets then, unless you want to give Steven Adams your 6th man of the year vote. But anyway, do we think Klay Thompson actually ends up a Warrior again, non-one-day contract division?
No.
Okay. Last one for me. Well, we're going to circle back to the 6th man of the year one, but the last one on the list for me at the very least. The Raptors have both been listed or linked to Anthony Davis and Domantas Sabonis. Should they be considering either one of those guys as an upgrade in the front court?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they should. I think that team looks drastically different if they have consistent, really good big play.
Okay, fair enough. Do you have a preference between those two for that roster as a quick follow-up?
Sabonis, Loki?
Okay. I dig it. Are people sleeping on Paul George?
No.
Okay.
No, they're not.
All right. Well, fair enough. That concludes free throws for me. Did you have another Oh, nope. Do you have a 6th man of the year selection for us, Steve?
Let's go Jeremy Grant and call it a day.
Okay. We will fight hard for Steven Adams another day. We already used up our Houston Rockets quota, and so we will circle back. Respect non-bucket getting impact players that come off the bench.
Okay, who are some other non-bucket getting impact players that come off the bench, Nekias? Go ahead, that's my free throw.
Oh, I like that. Well, as of now, I guess Tristan Da Silva is back to the reserve group. He just does a little bit of everything, so we can go there if we'd like. Okay. I'm curious to see where like Case and Wallace ends up landing as the Thunder get healthy. He did start a lot naturally early in the year, but if he's going to settle in as a 6th man, hey man, that gets fun because if he's just going to steal everything, it's kind of hard to be there. I guess the Oklahoma City Thunder as a concept just have a lot of those guys. Well, we can get buckets, but also we do a little bit of everything with the defense and the screening and all, some of the initiation, things like that. So like those off the top of my head, at the very least. Like to your point, there are a lot of good like bucket getting cases this year.
Well, I mean, there's also Anthony Black, there's Colin Gillespie, there's Jaime Jaquez. There's some fun bench players.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't say AJ Mitchell, but that's fine. Nekias, is Jalen Duren a top 5 player in the East?
By virtue of the games played minimum and my all-star starters in the Eastern Conference, the answer has to be yes.
That's not the question I asked. Is Jalen Duren a top 5 player in the East?
Oh, well, in a vacuum, no.
All right. Should Jalen Brunson have been considered when discussing the Knicks hanging up the NBA Cup banner?
I mean, probably, yeah. I'm glad you asked about the NBA Cup banner thing, because I'm just kind of like, let teams decide what they want to do with the banner. Like, I've heard a lot of, this needs to be legitimized, you have to put it up. I've also heard a lot of, this is dumb, this should not be put up. I'm just kind of like, let them decide. If you want to put it up, you can. If you don't want to, you can. Like, I don't feel better or worse about a team deciding to hang or not hang the banner for the NBA Cup.
How mad was Mike Brown after he said, I can't wait to hang one up, and the Knicks were like, nah, man?
Because it's Mike Brown, probably not very. Probably got a good chuckle out of it.
Okay. What are you going to do when LeBron James is named an All-Star?
Probably get a little bit of a rant. Salute plus rant, probably be the answer.
How much of a rant will be added if LaMelo Ball is also named to the All-Star team?
Oh, I just that would extend it a couple of minutes at least, because like, how do you get to the LaMelo case? Like, he's missed a bunch of time. The Hornets aren't good. And like, this isn't even the like all NBA caliber LaMelo season, but the Hornets are bad, so you don't get on the votes. Like, he hasn't shot well this year. The defense has been bad. Like, I don't know how you get to the LaMelo case in earnest this year. What's up? You know, sad for me. Well, I want that for him, but I can't get there. The fans do love LaMelo though, but yeah, I can't.
Are you sleeping on Paul George?
No. That brother has bulked up. Apparently, Paul George is the answer to the who's the Sixers for question, based on the physique at the very least. But no, like, the shot making scene's back. Like, I got a kick like watching Sixers Hawks earlier this week. It is just a bunch of, hey, Paul George, how about you screen for Joel Embiid near the baseline? Get Embiid an elbow catch. Let's see if they want to switch that. They don't want to switch that. Joel Embiid just gets to attack. And he's a dribble away from the rim, or he can just sprinkle in free throw line jumpers so he doesn't have to work that hard. And it's like, you know what? I kind of like that. Also, Paul George has options to go elsewhere after setting said screens. And so like, he's starting to perk up, Steve. The Sixers are just an interesting team to me right now.
No, you're all in on the Sixers. I understand it. All right, my final question. I'm more mad right now. Ime Udoka or Will Hardy?
Ooh, that's a firm 6-game series. I'm gonna go Ime, but I will say Will Hardy has been fed up for a lot longer than people give credit for. He wants the guys to play hard and to defend, and they just will not do it. It would appear it's deeply unfortunate.
Yeah, I heard you talk about the Utah Jazz, but a good month, buddy. Get us out of here.
Hey, I gave you some Keontae George. Actually, quickly on the Keontae George front. Hey, Bron. I got a good chuckle out of Bron being asked about the Keontae George All-Star campaign. He was like, man, I've been watching golf. I don't know. It's like, man, I feel you, and I certainly don't begrudge people that watch other things outside of basketball, as I'm, Pluribus, Welcome to Derry, etc. All the video game walkthroughs I check out on YouTube and stuff. It's like, man, you represent the All-Star game with the amount of selection. Give Keontae George a little bump. It has to be like, yeah, man, he's good. He said he's been good against us.
He did say one, he said he's been playing well against us.
Yeah,
2, let that man watch golf. 3, these basketball players can get all the clips they want within a 25-minute condensed window to learn a team. And number 4, Derry, when you start drinking milk.
That is not the Derry I am speaking of. And with that, thank you for listening to or watching this episode of The Dunker Spot. Please subscribe if you haven't already. We are on Apple, Spotify, RIP Google, Stitcher, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us. And as of next week, we're going to be on the Yahoo NBA YouTube channel. So subscribe if you haven't already. Get ready to tap in. We're going to have a lot more great content coming your way with a lot of our friends on the Yahoo NBA side. So be ready for that. Also, if you have basketball questions for us, we are going to the Dunker Spot mailbag next week. So dunkerspot@yahoo.com. Steve gave or alluded to it a little bit earlier, but want to give the reminder, dunkerspot@yahoo.com. Send in those basketball questions. We're going to get to them next week. You can follow me on socials at Nekias NBA. You can follow Steve on socials at Steve Jones 20. And with that, we will catch y'all next week.